Okay, I'm gonna try to do this in 3 minutes, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to because there's a lot of information, 10 years of work in one site that I called Littleworks. My name is Liam, and I'm the founder of Littleworks. And yes, this is our demo video. So what we do is we build widgets, and widgets are reflections of real world processes. Essentially what they do is you can think of them as an engine for building a specific type of information. So for example, you would import a research widget if you wanted to create research. You would import a project widget if you wanted to create projects. You can then take these creations and you can post them publicly, or you can set internal cycles so it feeds how you want them visualized for others. And I'll get into cycles a little bit later. But my name is Liam, right? And I created, so I've done 17 volumes of research as of now for my main, and out of that, obviously is a lot, but the main two things were psychodynamics and my infinite value theorem. Psychodynamics is genuinely my study of life, and I've taken that and I've kind of put it into this whole site so it all kind of works together. Anyways, widgets are important because they're the engines to create ideas. Yeah, so then this is setting up our user. Once we've set up our user, which is also a widget, by the way, we get into our user page. So this is our all dashboard, and that tells us everything that's going on within our user. It tells us we have projects that are currently being built, and then these are our expired creations. So I could get into expiries right now, and why not? Discovery is where everything gets found. So when we go over to our discovery page, people can post and move their creations to discover, tie a call to action to it, and that allows them to gain more work or share their content. So all call to actions are a little bit different. It's based on the function that cycle is actually enduring. So for projects, you have email provider. You see a work, you want a similar job, you email the provider for that similar work. That's kind of the main use case, but there's frankly a lot of use cases because we have info pages that could tell you what was going on, or we have, recipes that you can cook through. You click through all these steps and it makes it easier to work through problems and share solutions. You have a rental page. Sorry, we're doing some updates in the background, but you have a rental page where you can rent different items. There's different functions that you can plug into this. The important part is that they all exist in the same system, and we can underlyingly just plug and play different widgets, and yeah, it's quite pretty, honestly. So for example, okay, this is why it's hard to explain, is because there's literally so many things that you could do. I'm going to explain our validation system because I think it's the most important, probably. The main problem right now that I see online digitally is that a creator, such as a musician, could post their work and then never see a cent back, or see very little cents, not enough to sustain themselves, that they choose to stop playing music. And frankly, we would never know if there's going to be an amazing artist because we're cutting off that thread so quickly that artists don't even get time to develop. And it's not only musicians, but it's researchers, or it's projects, like people who do projects, or it's people who want to share like there's so many different types that I just think aren't getting enough back from our current systems that they need to get stuff back. So validations is my way of solving this, and it's actually its own currency. So here's how it works. It's pretty simple. It's a 3-layer process. When you click into a creation from the discovery, it's going to move that creation to a validated collection as a pending memory. You can think of it as cryptocurrency, a memory pool. This is literally essentially the same thing. I don't really know if it's exactly the same thing because I haven't done enough research in that, but it's similar. You add it to a memory pool, and from this memory pool, you can choose to validate and save that creation. Let's say that you see a song online, okay? As of right now, you would listen to it through YouTube, and then maybe you'd like save that link, or maybe you'd just like remember the title, and you'd always go back to that same YouTube video, and it would be giving YouTube is giving the same like view because you're the same person viewing it, but you're using it a lot. What we want to do is base it on validation. So you see it once, that's great. You decide whether or not you really like that song. If you like that song, you import it into your user, and then you would play, and it would function through playing that song would be a usage-based cost. This wouldn't be a lot. It would be like maybe 1 cent per play, but you would be paying the person who is playing that, or you'd be paying the person who created that creation. And it doesn't have to be just music. It could be projects, a method, right? It could be research, how you decided to research that specific creation. It could be a lot, but it would be usage-based payments based on that you are actively using it. So instead of, you being able to go to YouTube for free constantly and that creator getting nothing back from you, which it doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem fair at all. But it's kind of complicated for me to explain because I haven't 100% figured it out. So, but I have figured out validations. So you simply save, let's say I viewed this coconut shrimp recipe. I'm going to save it. It's then going to add it to a sub collection in my validated creations. And by adding it to a sub collection, I can then go back and I can see this recipe is saved and I'm favoriting it. Whereas all the other ones, they will eventually expire if I choose not to act upon those specific creations. Okay? Yeah, it's a little bit complicated, but honestly, once you get into the flow of things, it's a lot simpler. That's the main problem that I really wanted to solve, was giving creators back a monetary system so they can sustain themselves better than frankly posting on YouTube and never really seeing a cent back, or YouTube taking 50% for advertisement or which they're making off of advertisements. And advertisements aren't very sustainable because it's pay to win. Well, I mean, there's a good amount of people. There's a good amount of reason why advertisements aren't sustainable. It's just nobody wants to watch an ad. You're paying someone else to advertise your work, which means that you need to have the perfect person to watch their work. I don't know. It's just seems like an interesting cycle that I think could be better. Yeah. So what do we do? Now, for YC, the biggest thing that we're ready to start doing is selling access to booking schedules. So the same way that a recipe functions, you cook through it, the same way that a music function, you listen to it, is the same way that a booking schedule works. It's just on a different scale. So a booking schedule, right, we would go into it, and this is a dentist appointment. It's a proper calendar. It's a little bit white out. So it's a proper calendar. You add your schedule. These are your bookings. These are your client list. You add your services. You add your team schedule. Okay. You can add a location. You can add multiple locations to your services. And then you can tie in an AI phone assistant. And this is going to give you a number. The number links to our data set, which is dynamic. So if your services change or if your store availability changes, your AI assistant will know. And this way it won't make any false bookings, which is quite important. So when it comes to AI assistants, right, you need to have a dynamic data set that it knows what to do, so your workflow can change in accordance to your team's availability. You need to be able to book that all in the same system. So we built the system, and it's really easy to use. I frankly, yeah. So, and then to tell, just like the all page in our user shows us time dependent entities within our system that are going to expire, is the same way that our booking schedule is going to tell us when we need to update our team's schedule. So right now we do a 3-week period. The 3-week period, after that, you need to schedule in your people. If you don't schedule in your people, then our AI assistant doesn't know whether or not to, that if it can book. And so we need to be able to set that and kind of force you to set your team's availability. Otherwise, the AI assistant just doesn't know, and we would get a bad rep for that, right? And the bad rep would be terrible, because we want to provide trust for our clients and be able to provide a good service. So, yeah. There's really a lot. One of the main way that I like to use it is if you go to your discovery, okay, you can search services that you might need. So what I want to do with this, and what I see could happen with this, is people search up, say, I need someone to write a song with. So we didn't find anyone to write a song with me, but instead it prompted me to create a community request. And so this community request can be created. It is a little white out, but essentially this is just a looking for field, give details. So I need someone to write a song with, what type of person do you want, add photos if you have any, and then what you're going to offer them. So I could offer them a subscription to FL Studio, which I have, and we could both work on that song and build something together. You would click continue, and then you would post it to Discovery. Well, you could post it to Discovery, or you could actually post it to one of your friends. And this way it's kind of like an email for requests, but you can email anything. You could email like research, or you could tie in a book, or frankly you could have an MP4 file, you could have a reel. There's a lot of things that you could do. And then feed systems are actually also dynamic. Feed systems in themselves would be a metric. Sorry, feed systems in themselves would be an algorithm that someone could make as a developer, and then the feed algorithm would be that specific widget, and you just create feeds. Yeah. So yeah, that's LittleWorks in a nutshell. I don't know how well this is going to go, but frankly, I need to start posting stuff, because 17 volumes of research by myself is kind of tiring, and it's a lot of work, and I've gone very far. There's actually a lot of math that goes into this, and frankly, it's math that I would love to work with someone who actually knows what they're doing. There's some pretty cool algorithms that I've stemmed out of this. There is some simulated effects that I have worked through, and it is quite intense. Yeah, it's quite intense. So yeah, that's LittleWorks. Thank you for watching, and yeah.